a mistake you make is you don't tend to thyself. You don't tend to your soul.
This is the Church Growth Nation podcast.
I think for me, the biggest growth as a man that I've had is within the last 6 or 7 years, I started to stop fighting the fact that I don't fit a mold.
Yeah.
And I found, I would see this guy that I liked, the way he looked. I tried to look like him, and I was kind of insecure. And so I didn't embrace my weirdness, and I just tried to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
And when I stopped, just have a good marriage, and when my wife would just encourage me, just like, I like you the way you are, and I started kind of embracing okay, well, here's the deal. I know I'm weird. I know that I am not really nice. I'm not, y'all know, I'm not really nice. I'm not this friendly social guy.
Yeah.
I'm not this, thank you very much. I'm not a feely guy. I'm not all these things, but I was trying to pretend it when I just realized, listen, I'm just going to be full-fledged authentic, take it or leave it, and it surprised me. I had the opposite effect. I thought I was going to have less people be attracted to me. More, I'm like, oh, they want to work with me, because I think people are attracted to just, I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I think that if pastors were because some of the greatest pastors that we think of, they're all very different in their personalities. They maybe have models, but they've embraced it. They're not trying to be, they're being them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and everybody, that's what gets me is everybody starts hating on somebody and you don't really know them, and you don't really, you're not in their context, you're not in their situation, but yet from afar you're judging. I did 2 interviews the last year at our conference. One was with Carl Lentz, and then the next I said I want to do something completely opposite, and then I did Joel Osteen. Yeah, and it's amazing how both of them, there's criticism on, and I'm like, wait a minute, so, which ones do you like? Which ones do you not like? Which side of it? And you just realize that everybody's got to be faithful to who they are, based on where they're at, who they're trying to reach. And I think you're right. The sooner you get comfortable in your own skin. I heard Joyce Meyer say this. It was phenomenal. She said that at 55, she finally woke up one day and realized that out of the 100% of the people who know her, that 10% of them don't like her today. And she had been living her life for that 10% and not thinking about the 90% who do like her. She said at 55, it switched. I started living for the 90% who do like me, and I do help, and and I just could not please the 10%. She said the interesting thing is that 10% changes every day, and so does that 90%. So there are some that are in a 90%, you get it, that flip a week later because of something you say or a book you write or something you wear. And when she said, start living for the 90%, it was like, God, that just frees you to try to, get over yourself and et cetera.
God, I wish I had 90%.
Oh, you do. You do.
I'm just kidding. Okay, I get a lot of pastors who do certain things, like they follow this rule, or they have this many meetups, or they do all the right things, right? Yeah. Some of these churches explode. Some of them don't. They stay stagnant. They shrink even. What do you think is the reason for that?
Man, it's just, I think you can do a checklist, okay? Or, are you being, you always start with yourself. Am I being a good leader? Am I caring for people? Am I spiritually in tune? But then there's just some dynamics that you cannot figure out. I got a good friend of mine, John Siebling, who is in Memphis. And for the first 10 years of his church, took him 10 years. And phenomenal. He grew from 0 to 1,000. Took him 10 years. Well, he's got friends who differently. But then the next 10 years, he went from 1,000 to 5,000. And I asked him, I said, what did you do different? He said, not much. I don't know. He said, we stayed at it. We were faithful. I think there are some answers that you can try to figure out, but a lot of it is just being faithful and just realizing that, God will make it grow. And there are some scoreboards that are more important than the attendance. It's hard to get over that, but there are some things that are you transforming your community? How's your family? Are you being a good friend? Are people coming to Christ maybe another way? So it's a tough one to call.
Yeah.
That's a hard question.
What do you think?
I think I have some churchy answers that I could rattle off, or some church growth answers, but I think I'm biased because I worked the plan worked for us. So I think it works everywhere because it worked for us, and everyone said, ARC's kind of a South thing, and I don't know if it works in the West Coast, and the opposite is true for us and for a lot of guys we're seeing. But I'd go back to faithfulness. I would say, I think God's not going to judge you on the size of your church or the size of, how many Instagram followers. He says, well done, good and faithful servant. So my scope lately has been, all right, God, teach me what's good. What am I really trying to accomplish with my ministry? What are my motives? What's good in your eyes? What does it mean to be faithful with that? And so if I'm faithful with 100, will I be faithful with 500 or 1,000, et cetera? And then what does it mean to serve people? And I think if you do those things, you keep your heart right, and then you're leaning in towards to the Dino Rizzos of the world, saying, hey, what do you think we should do here? And you have a couple guys that you can call. Mm-hmm. I just think you need to be in relationship with people that can encourage you in the dips, and then you keep leaning in and learning and growing, and I think good things will happen.
Well, how would you answer that? Well, your business for 4 years?
5.
It's going fantastic. Yeah. So there's somebody else who started a business 5 years ago. How would you answer that? Because it's so many of the principles are the same. Yeah. You've been very successful here.
Well, business-wise is very different because they're connecting with an entity, not me personally.
Right.
And so I'm very particular on our brand, what we put on.
But you've done well with your brand.
Well, I've done well with our brand, but here's the difference. When it's a church, at the very beginning, like putting a fire, like you're getting at the very beginning, they feel connected to the pastor.
Yeah, yeah.
And the difference that I don't think that we can account for on paper is the personalities. And I think at the very beginning, you could have thrown a come to my house barbecue dinner, and you would have had 50 people show up who all 50 of them felt like they were buddies of yours.
Sure.
And some people don't have that DNA.
Yeah.
They may be like, I followed the rules, but I'm at the beginning, you have to be in that kind of relationship. I've heard it said that you can only be like true friends with, I think they did like something around 60 people, like deep level friends. Other than that, you just know them. Mm-hmm. But then you have to be like, well, I'm going all in and I'm going to find my key 50, 60 people. Some people are like, I want to do it, but I want to sit in my office. I want to plan the message. I want to make sure we have a meetup. I want to do everything right. But they don't have a lot of people that feel like they're that approachable, that their personality is, one like yours, where you could be buddies with anybody. You could go to the coffee shop and you could have a friend in 5 minutes. Some people like me, I just try to put up an aura that says, please don't talk to me. And you just walk in a place that says, come here, give me a hug.
Free hugs today.
Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, what do they say? You buy into the man before you buy into the mission.
Yeah.
So in church, it's that way.
Yeah.
And there's, when you start getting to a certain level though, there are those transferable principles of good stewardship, of time management, of brand managing, customer service. Yeah. Those things immediately translate over. Where Adam's at now with his church growing like that, year 2, you start getting into 3, 4, 5, the expectations of people, they're wanting some of those things that are transferable in business as well as in church world. So there are some transferable things.
Yeah. As we end this, here's what I want to ask. I want to ask about mistakes. Some of the biggest mistakes that you've seen happen when somebody's trying to grow their church or do an event or grow their leadership or hire somebody, a mistake that's a trend that keeps kind of coming around, and I don't think people are getting it yet. What are you seeing?
I'll beat this drum. One of the things I was coached early on with ARC was when you move into a city, every single person is a person that has either a relationship with God in a church, and great, God bless you, stay there, or they don't. And that you got to connect with people, man. And if you're going to be healthy as a church plant, you got to be willing to go after everybody. And I've heard people say, don't be too desperate. And I get it. You got to come off cool and be like, hey, don't be weird. Like, hey, do you know Jesus Christ? But you got to look at every single person like, I wonder if that guy's connected to a church. I wonder if she has a pastor that's praying for her. And I think what a lot of guys do is unintentionally, they create a bubble before they actually plant their church. Correct. they create a clique, create an in and out. And I think people are highly sensitive to that because we're so comparison centric. We automatically walk into places, go, are they for me or against me? Am I in or out? Do I look like them or not? So you got to create a very middle of the road. I love Pastor Brian Houston. He says, "Oi, we create a church at Hillsong that goes for M. We go for the middle of the road, mate. It's everybody." And I had to do my Brian Houston. But yeah, so he does the middle of the road. Come on, like so we wanted. I think a lot of guys are trying to be Z or Y, and I'm like, dude, you're not. Like, let's just love people and let's be a church that's for everybody. And eventually, you're going to find the people that you click with, and you're going to have your circle, and that's okay to insulate a little bit. But I think you need to be a church for everybody right out the gate. And I think if you do that, I think what happens is people come to your church and they want to connect. They connect to you first, but then you're connecting to other people. And I think a lot of pastors, they think that it's going to be like when they were a youth pastor or when they were an associate pastor, and you're just starting from scratch. You got to build relationship.
And if you are approachable and friendly and all those things, I think then your worship leader kind of follows you, 100%. And then your head usher, and then the people start to be like, "Oh, this is our culture." Yeah. And that kind of makes it happen. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it's all good. All good. I mean, I think it is true. You get, you have we tried to do this, son, when you're trying to start. It's like, we're going to do something that's never been done before. It's like, there's a reason why it's never been done. It does not work. And so, it's like I remember we had some people come in. They were going to start a church in Baton Rouge. These Baton Rouge people, Catholic, man, they're Catholic people, plant workers, we eating boudin, cheering on LSU. It's football faith, and it's Saturday night. I mean, they are a simple, incredible people. And I remember he came and met me. He said, "Yeah, we're just gonna have a church. It's gonna be downtown. It's just gonna be real missional, real contemplating. We're gonna reach people that only wear suede on Thursdays and do handbells. It's just this eclectic group." And I was like, "Well, there are none of those. There are none of those here. You will have no one on Thursday nights at 9:41 because that's a scripture. No. This is way too hard. Yeah. Be friendly. Yeah. Just middle of the road. And so it does make it. But I would probably say, and I'll just take a second on this. And this goes deep and serious, but a mistake you make is you don't tend to thyself. You don't tend to your soul. You have to tend to thyself. And it would be in the role that I'm in now, where a pastor for 20 years, and now I spend majority of my time with pastors. Mm-hmm. And I spend a lot of my time with pastors in pain, or their wife's in pain, or their kids are in pain, or you're just helping guys that have hit the wall and they are emotionally a wreck. Not to be a bummer, but you just talk. I spend a lot of time having those chats, and so much of it goes back to, you're not tending to your own garden. You're not tending to your own soul. Because if you have nothing to give, then out of nothing comes nothing. And so the first person to lead is thyself. So I think there were times when I pastored those years that I led on fumes, led on empty. And all of my prayer and all of my time with God was for presentation. To lead, to create, to decide, to speak. And about 7 years ago, I made a change because I hit the wall. And I decided I'm going to live from a place of devotion. And my duty and my to-dos will come from a place of devotion. And I think that's something that I encourage a lot of guys to make sure, don't forget your soul in all the other 1,000 things you need to do. Yeah. I think it's a huge mistake.
Yeah. There's 5,000 people that will watch this that are thinking about planting a church.
Yeah.
What should they do if they want to get involved with ARC?
Right here, ARC. So you go on our website. We'd love to help you. We're not for everybody, but man, I feel like I think there's some other great church planting organizations. We love them. We work with them. We celebrate them. We're a big, yay! Everybody's let's all do great. Yeah. But I feel like I think we're great. I think we're good at it. Yeah. I think we got coaches like Adam, Pastor Adam, and others that we're going to get you close with people that have gone through the pathway. Yeah. We're going to onboard you well, and we're going to do all we can to get you to a great first weekend, and then beyond too, by relationships. And then I think our financial model is unique. We've been blessed with a lot of resources. We have plenty of money. And a lot of people are like, well, we don't want to take any money in the beginning. That's when you need it. You need all the resources you can when you start. You know, I tell guys planting a church, take everything you can. We'll figure out the rest later. So our financial model, I think that God gave Billy Hornsby and Greg and Chris and Rick and all these guys, I think it's unique. So we would love to work with anybody who's planting a church at ourchurches.com.
If you guys want to reach out to Adam for coaching or for advice, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'd say just go onto our website, myactivechurch.org, and shoot us an email, info@myactivechurch, and we'll get back to you. But again, one of the best resources you can do is find a guy in your city, find someone that you can do life with, be honest. What Pastor Dino said is, you're only as, if you can be honest about where you're struggling and have a couple people that know everything, you're going to have a healthy church. You're going to have a healthy wife, a healthy family, and a healthy church. And so, but yeah, love to help you out any way I can.
The whole purpose of this is we have a Facebook group, Church Growth Nation group, which is supposed to be a place where we can talk, help each other out, post articles, talk about when you're discouraged, have somebody call you. So if you're not a member of it, go join the Church Growth Nation Facebook group, get in a relationship. My boy Adam here likes to say, rows are good.
Circles are better.
Cheesy. I don't think he came up with it, but
hashtag Andy Stanley.
Okay. Thank you, Dino.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Ross.
Talk to you guys soon.